and welcome to That's What Speaks. Today is July, 9th, I don't know. And this is episode 175, I think. Hello, I am Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. I'm your hostess. Did I say that? So let's talk about nice stuff, right? In Administrati, I typically do not mention fundraisers or charity knitting opportunities or other such things, just because it gets really kooky wacky to try to manage all that information. And I have a bit of a firework explosion brain that does not do well with holding on to that. But I do want to mention that our lovely Barb, who is Knitty Barb on the Ravelries, is doing her annual, I don't know if we call her. Anyway, she's promoting the annual Mother Bear Cow, so knitting along, crochet along. And she's been a lovely supporter of the podcast in many ways, and I wanted to acknowledge that and promote this for her. So she sent me an email with bullet points. So you can always find out more about the project through listening to her podcast, which is Two Knit Lit Chicks. Two Knit Lit Chicks. I said that too fast. But here are the bullet points. You need to knit or crochet bears for the Mother Bear Project. The Mother Bear Project distributes hand knit bears to children in countries, mostly Africa, who have been affected by the HIV and AIDS epidemics. Any bear knit or crocheted in 2016 are eligible to be entered for the Two Knit Lit Chicks FO thread for prizes, and a separate photo for each bear, please. 313 bears were entered last year into the cow, and they would like to beat that number. So it's running from July 1st to September 31st, and you must be, of course, a member of the group to enter. And you can find out more at the Two Knit Lit Chicks podcast group. So, yay them. So just a reminder, if you're behind on your podcasts, that's happening again. I think that's all administrative, but I guess sort of administrative is from the boards. We'll do that today too. So we had a bonus episode between last numbered episode and this episode, and it was all about bicycling. So if you were not interested, I totally understand. But some of you were. And here's a little bit of information that was shared on the boards in case you haven't had a chance to get over there and absorb that. So the Jasper Patch. Oh, the Jasper Patch totally said that she was inspired or forced or shamed into riding her bicycle because her school was having bike proficiency, and she didn't want to be the only one with stabilizers. Actually, I think we just call them training wheels here, but I like stabilizers better. Anyway, I looked to where she's from because I'm a stalker like that, and she's in Canada, and so I thought, oh my gosh, does Canada have bike proficiency? In the US, we do not have a bike proficiency. Maybe there's like a fancy school, like if you pay for that school, but our public schools do not have bike proficiency. In fact, our public school, I shouldn't laugh. Our public schools are very lean on any sort of practical skills. Not everybody's parents can teach them those things. Anyway, but she said, no. So she grew up in the UK. They have bike proficiency as part of, I just spit on my paper. Like, it's an optional thing now. I don't know if it was optional then, but it's something that schools can opt into there, and it's called the bikeability portion of their curriculum, where they teach them to like maneuver their bicycles, or at least promote and encourage them and all that good stuff. Right? They also have basic first aid courses. How helpful would that be? And also like life saving. So like at the pool they do rescue stuff. How cool is that? But anyways, I thought that was fun. Also, this brings to mind that on Instagram a while ago, I posted a picture of my child and I, and behind us was the sketchy house on the corner that a bunch of like, I don't know, like 20-something dudes live in. I don't even know if they might be squatting. I don't know if they actually live there. The sketchy neighborhood is really cheap. But anyway, I realized the house really creeps me out because not only are there a bunch of like 20-something sketchy dudes living there, And I like dare them to say something to me every time I walk by their house. Like, but they don't have screens in any of their windows, okay? So I did not know this because I am not a well-traveled human. I live in a place this big. So I made a comment that that's not our sketchy house with no screens in the windows. Apparently the United States is the only place, well, there are some places in like more tropical climes that have window screens, but really the United States is primarily the window screen consumptor of the world. I had no idea because I am not well traveled. And this was interesting, and I apologize, I don't know who wrote this because I didn't think to go back and look. But one of the things I had never thought about, well, okay, so my first reaction is like, how do you keep raccoons out of your house? Like, bugs are one thing. They're not fun, but if there were no window screens in my house, they would be like raccoons, like making s'mores in my kitchen over the gas range when I woke up in the morning. Like, I don't like raccoons. They have human hands, people. But apparently, so I had to research this further because I was like fascinated that I, A, did not know this, and B, like it just seems so foreign to like not have screens in your windows. And so there's multiple things I found out. One, a lot of people don't like window screens because I never thought about it, but it makes your houses look darker and like more closed off. So that's one of the reactions people who come to a place where there are window screens in houses from a place where there are not, is that it feels like very oppressive and like cut off. And that makes perfect sense because if you can imagine, like if window screens were completely translucent, it would look a lot brighter and more lively. But there's this whole discussion of like why there are window screens and why there are not. And a lot of, it's one of the theories posited is that a lot of European cities, because it's primarily the discussion was like European cities versus American cities, is that a lot of European cities don't have a ton of green space. And again, I don't know any of this information. I am just literally vomiting what the internet told me. But this kind of makes sense if this is true. Is that there's not a ton of green space because those cities are so old that there was not urban planning happening. And so the lack of green space within the city means that there are not as many squirrels and raccoons running around, and that there actually just not as many insects either, so it's not as much of a problem. There's this whole thing about like potentially like window screens were mostly used in countries where malaria was a problem, but that's a very gray subject because there are still many countries that don't use window screens where there is malaria, so that's not a thing. But that was an interesting thought because that's one of the things I thought originally, like, is that what? And then another reason is that primarily almost all construction in the United States was started before, like after the advent of window screens. And so our houses are actually made to accept window screens, whereas in older countries with like greater ranges of architecture, like there's no standardization of window sizes or anything like that in the majority of structures in those countries. Now, clearly there's always new construction, and I'm sure that becomes more standardized. However, the majority of structures are pre-existing, and so therefore are just not built to accept window screens. Anyway, I just thought that was all fascinating. And that's totally a random aside that I did not plan on talking about, but it just made me think about it. We have window screens and no bike proficiency classes in the United States. I do kind of like window screens though. Again, the squirrels are gonna be wearing your underwear, watching your television. They're gonna do it. Did I say squirrels? I meant raccoons. The raccoons are the wily ones. You gotta watch out for them. The squirrels, I feel like, would just come steal your food and leave. The raccoons would be like, they would square off with you. It would be intense. Just saying. Okay, now I don't know how to transition to the next thing I'm supposed to talk about. Oh, okay, back to the boards. Because it's all about the bicycling episode. L. Charvan, I can't read my own writing. CHRVAN, mentioned that there's this whole weird thing about saying fat. I I always refer to myself as fat. I rarely refer to myself as a person of size. And usually when I do, it's because I'm walking on tenterhooks not to like offend somebody or like automatically discluding them by using a word that other people find is uncomfortable to put in their mouths. So I'll often use person of size, especially if I'm talking about other humans, because I don't want to automatically offend them by calling them fat. I don't find an offensive term, but other people do, blah, blah, blah. But if you are a fat person or a person of size, or just a person, quite frankly, but it's geared to those other people, there are apparently, there's a really great discussion board that you can visit, and it's called the Clydesdales and Athena's discussion board, and there's actually a link in the Ravelry group on the bicycle episode. You can find it very easily. And it's so if you are a big person and you're looking for bicycles and you're not sure what to do, or you have maybe problems that you don't think other people might have, you can find more information there. That was very helpful. And then the last one, Woolen Grace very helpfully and humbly suggested, she's very cute. If you have trouble riding a bike, this goes for anybody. If you have trouble on bicycling because your soft tissues, like in your genitalia area, whether you're male or female, if you have trouble with the soft tissues in the area and being very uncomfortable when you're riding, they make saddles that actually have where the horn is, like the narrow part that sticks out. It's like a split, like it's forked, which sounds scary. But it takes the pressure off your soft tissues and puts it on your bony protrusions in that area that can actually sustain. So anyway, if you have trouble with that, she suggested specifically that she has an ISM saddle, but there are other brands that have that too. But you can find information that you can look there. So there's that. Okay. Other sort of administrative-y typey things. I just wanted to say a quick thank you to everybody who has donated to the podcast. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you. But also the people who commented on the Patreon discussion thread on Ravelry. I still think I will probably move to Patreon in August, and I hope to do like a mini talk about that at some point. It'll either be tagged onto an episode or maybe as a specific bonusy typey episode. But it won't just be about finance. It'll be about things like how do we encourage innovation in our podcasting community? How do we get the best people podcasting? How do we, which may not be me, maybe I should remove that from the discussion points. So hopefully it'll be it will be not just about dollar bills. We'll see. But so I just wanted to say thank you. I have read those. I am really still trying to digest it, because obviously it's a very personal space for me. It's something that I do. I put myself out there quite a lot on this podcast, maybe more than some of you want. But so it's something that I'm still internalizing. I'm still mentally digesting, but I hope to come back to you with a clearer viewpoint. It's sometime in the very near future. So there's that. Okay. So I think that's all I'm going to talk about in terms of non-knitting and spinning. There were not shenanigans this week because really we're just riding our bicycles a lot. Not a lot, but a lot. And also I'm getting ready for SSK. Oh my gosh, are you going? SSK is a super summer knit together. It's hosted by the Knit Girls in Nashville, Tennessee. And it's July 20th and the 24th or something. I never remember the dates, but it's a Wednesday through a Sunday. And always I think it's a Thursday through a Sunday. And then 2 days before I'm like, oh wait, it's Wednesday. Oops. Anywho, it's super fun. This will be my 4th year, so I've gone every year except the first year. Okay. So that's coming up, so I'm sewing like a bandit. For that vendor market. There's always so much pressure with the vendor market. I'm not a very good vendor. I'm always blown away by people who go to vending things all the time. I'm just it makes my face melt a little bit. But, so I'm getting ready for that. So I've been spending a lot of time at the sewing machine and not doing shenanigan-y type things. Boots are size and being humble. because I'm not already humble enough. So if you feel intimidated, don't, because I'm terrible at them, but it's still fun. And I'm trying to practice my vulnerability by acknowledging that I'm bad at them. I have historically been terrified to play board games with other people because it's so dumb. But I'm really afraid that they're going to be like, oh, you simple, simple woman. Why do I care? Why do I care? The people I'm playing board games with probably wouldn't think that because they're nice people. But even if they do, what do I care? They get to win. Anyway, so I'm really trying to let my 20-something self go, right? I'm getting close to 40. I gotta let that 20-something self go. I'm practicing. Anyway. I'm reading the book, right? The Daring Greatly book. I'm trying to do it. I'm started though. Anywho. So speaking of books and shenanigans of the mind, this episode's gonna be really long, isn't it? Okay, I won't talk about that this week. I was gonna also do From the Library. Well, maybe I should. Okay, I will do From the Library, but I also do Shrill. I highly recommend this book. It's by Lindy West. Not only did I listen to the audiobook, I then actually bought the physical book. I don't know if maybe I've done that once, but it was because I couldn't get through one of the other versions. It wasn't like I made it through a version and was like, well, I need that in the other form too. I highly recommend the audiobook. She's narrating it herself, and there are... let me get on that let me stay on that train of thought because I'll lose it if I go anywhere else. There are very highly digested ideas that she has artfully condensed into a small physical space in the written word. And I feel like when you are reading it, it would be very easy to just move through those words with the same weight as you move through the other words. Not that, I mean, again, I know that people are better at reading than me. I have attention issues, right? But I know other people have them too, so I'm just saying. But in the audio version, she has the ability to insert pauses and inflections that make those portions, I think, take up more space than they do necessarily in the written word. So I highly recommend the audio version. I mostly got the book version because I was like, there are some things that I would like to highlight. And in fact, what I think would be very fun to do is maybe to do a read along eventually with this book when I figure out how to do live Google stuff. So maybe as part of podcast donating, moving the show up in my headspace, it would be fun. I think it'd be cool to do this. And it's really not a great book in terms of like a book group because, I don't know, maybe it is. I've never been in a book group. I'm like, this is just the truth. What do we need to talk about? But obviously it's not everybody's truth. There you go. She wrote it. There it is. But there are certainly points that could either encourage discussion or just encourage some like really good hand-holding, almost verklempt discussion of personal space and stuff. But anyway, so maybe we could do that. That may be fun. But I highly recommend it. I feel like, it's cursey. So if that freaks you out, don't read it. Please don't let that freak you out, though. Can we give that space? Please don't it's not, there's this like weird thing with cursing stuff that I understand that it shuts some people down. But like, can we acknowledge that there is cursing and anger, which shuts me down? But it's not the words. It is the intent and the vitriol behind them. But so like if you're on the edge of not being comfortable, maybe try to hold that. Like, and the audiobook is great because again, you know that those words are not said with vitriol. Well, some of them are, but they're funny. So sorry, that was a random aside. But I highly recommend it. It's really great. Especially, you know, I feel like she's writing as a fat woman, and she does self-identify as fat. But this book is not all about fat politics in by any stretch of the imagination. It is definitely a feminist point of view. And it's a memoir, but it's not, I would not say it's like I was born, I grew up. You know, it's not like a real linear memoir. I would almost say that it's like almost an essay based. Like, it seems like each chapter can be held individually, which makes sense. She is a journalist. So that would probably make sense with her writing style, but I highly recommend it. The audiobook is very good. Okay, I think that's all I need to say. All right. Okay. All right, let's talk about knitting and spinning. Oh my gosh, what a novel concept. Okay, so spinning. I'm still working on the same thing I was working on last time. It's Hello Yarn and the Bedtime Stories. This is organic Polworth. I will be working on this forever. Not forever, but for a while. Because I have 20 ounces, because I would like to have it potentially be a sweater, although I don't know. We'll see what happens. So I'm still working on that. I'm so excited to see everybody's Tour de Fleece pictures. I'm so jealous. Tour de Fleece, of course, always coincides with SSK prep, so I just don't feel like I can give it enough space, so I don't ever do it. But I love seeing everybody else's inspiring pictures. So yay, thank you. So knitting. I finished something, which you just saw, I think. Okay, Rand. No, I'm not going to do it. Just remember, if you donate to the podcast, you win these prizes. That was nice, right? They've been sitting there, and I keep forgetting to work them in. I finished my baby blanket. What? So this is actually the wrong side. Let me show you. It's still a little damp, so not that you can tell, but hopefully it'll fluff up even better. So this is the right side. It's supposed to just be like a car seat or a stroller size. I was hoping that it would be taller than it is wide, but it's more square. But that's okay. There were several, I looked at dimensions for car seat blankets, and there were several that were square. So I think it'll be okay. So this is the right side. Right? How fun is that? And you're seeing here the orange is Marigold Jen, not Marigold Jen. Hi Marigold Jen, I get to see you a little bit. Is Miss Babs in the, in her Yowza base, in the, it's a bright marigold, but it's Marigold colorway. And then the contrasting yarn is Handspun. This is Superwash Targhee from Moonrover in the Crunching Leaves colorway. So it's super crazy pants. Yay that! So, and there's no pattern. I just did the stitch pattern from Knitting Fresh Brioche by Nancy Marchant. This is the undulating hourglass chart. And so I just did an I-cord cast on, and I kept the I-cord up the edges and then did an I-cord bind off. So yeah, there's that. I tell you what, I don't know if she'll like it, but I loved making it. It was very fun to make. So, ta-da! Yay! The next thing, well, that's all the finished. The next thing I will show you, though, is my On the Spice Market by Melanie Berg. So, I think last time I had just started the gray bits. So I'm a little bit further than halfway through the gray bits. Well, not technically, because the rows go longer, but you know what I mean. Whee! Fiber Optic is getting, I think she said in late July, she's getting ready to release like a super awesome color combination for this. Oh. But mine, the gray is Madeline Tosh sock in the Tern colorway. And then the rest is Miss Babs in one of her Polydactyl sets. And I'll have the colors listed. but it's these. But there's 6 contrasting colors. This pattern though, I mean, originally I was like, I'm not sure about this 6 contrasting colors business. But it is very, very clearly written. It's very easy to follow. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, but I'm enjoying it quite a lot. There's enough going on, obviously, between switching colors and doing different stitch patterns. There's enough going on to keep you invested and interested in moving forward. But the actual, like, remembering new pattern repeats is in such big chunks that it's not daunting or overwhelming. Like, sometimes the whole sampler shawl thing is like, really? I'm going to look at this pattern like every 6 rows, and I'm not interested in that. And that's not the case with this. So, yay this. It's very enjoyable. And I think I'm going to like the shape. And I'm definitely going to like using up that Polydactyl kit that's been in my stash for 2 years. I was thinking about SSK and like trying to budget and for the vendor market. I've been doing pretty decently with not buying a ton of yarn this year. But it's so much more difficult not to buy yarn when there are faces attached to it. So I'm sure I'll do abysmally this time. But I really need to not buy as much yarn. If you're vending and you're watching this, that's like the smallest Venn diagram ever. But like, please don't be offended if I don't buy something. Because your stuff is amazing. However, I realized that I don't know that I have used, I'm embarrassed to even admit that, but I'm a umbrella and stuff. I may not have used anything yet that I bought at last year's market. Is that possible? That's not true. I think I used, maybe I used 1 sock, right? Yarn, why are you so pretty? Anyway. Okay, so very briefly, we can do a from the library. I guess before I should do that, further administration that I should have put at the beginning of the show. Oops. I'm not sure when the next episode will come out because the next scheduled episode is the Tuesday before I leave on Wednesday for SSK. And I don't know if I'll be able to get a podcast. I mean, I could get one recorded probably, but uploading it is like a whole other process. But I'll try my best. There was something else that was just in my head. I can't think what it was. Oh, a shop update. I don't have anything to show you right now because again, there will be hopefully at least 1 episode before the next shop update. The next the next shop update will actually not be until August. Is it 5th? It's the first Friday in August. I'm pretty sure it's August 5th. Because again, I'll be gone for SSK and then my kids like the last week of school. I mean, before she goes back to school. So I gotta like, right now I'm doing a lot of like, all right, you gotta let me sew for 3 hours and then we can do this for an hour. So I like to make that last week, like at least like an I'm available, for the majority of the week. Anyway, we don't go on like a vacation or anything. We're lame. So the last thing I'll talk about though is from the library. I have actually several books I want to talk about, but I'll just talk about this one because high time and stuff. This book is called The Flexitarian Table, and it's subtitled Inspired Flexible Meals for Vegetarians, Meat Lovers, and Everyone in Between, and is by Peter Barley. I assume that's how you say it. There he is. The reason I wanted to especially highlight this book is, it's organized by season, and when I first started cooking, like as an adult human, I hated cookbooks organized by season. Hated it. Now I love it because we are not in any way doing vegetable, animal miracle. That's not even the right word. Anyway, we're by no means doing a strictly localvore diet. Far from it. But we do try to grow some stuff, and we do try to do farmers markets. So, well, we try to do the farmers market that's close to our house. I do have a moral opposition to driving far away because I'm a terrible lazy person. But anyway, so now it's organized by season, and I love that. I'm so excited about it. So that's a fun change. The other thing that I'm really excited about that I would have hated 15 years ago is that it's organized by menu. So, for example, in the spring section, you get menus 1 through 10. And for example, this is totally chosen at random. Okay, not because I'm actually looking at it because I'm terrible. But for example, menu 3, there's crispy pressed chicken tofu with garlic and mint, creamy risotto style brown rice with spring greens and Asiago, shaved spring vegetable and apple salad. And it really does offer, if you have a carnivore and a vegetarian in your household, or maybe you have somebody who can eat soy and can't, but it does offer both of those options, the chicken and the tofu. And so, but it offers them in like a context of an entire meal. Because one thing I've noticed as I try to look for more and more vegetarian recipes is that I often, okay, that's not even just true with vegetarian recipes, that's true with all recipes, is I often, especially when they are growing up with foods. Like, do you know what I mean? Like if they're in any way non-American, non-traditionally American foods, I don't know how to pair them with things. So like, oh, that noodle salad sounds amazing. I have no idea how to make it a meal. For me, it's a meal just because it's got vegetables in it and noodles, and then I'm done. But that's like a lame example. But like, for example, if you're having people over, I don't know how to give them more than that option. Like, I don't know how to pair things. I just have to admit that. And it's probably very highly a result of the fact that I have I live with only 8-year-olds food-wise. And I mean like boring 8-year-olds, not cool 8-year-olds who are like, can I have more balsamic? No, I live with like chicken nugget hot dog 8-year-olds. That's including my husband. So like, I don't have as much dining experience, and so therefore don't see how professionals pair foods together. I guess I don't have the food channel, so I don't watch that anymore. But anyway, it's a lot of me talking. That's what this whole show is though, so there we go. I find it very helpful, especially when experimenting with new things that I don't quite, like I don't know what to put with my artichoke, potato, and leek gratin. Well, perhaps I could put peas, shoot, radish, and smoked trout / tofu salad with it. I don't have to, but it's a suggestion. So I found that very helpful in my growing age. But one of the things I really like about this, and it's one of the things that I like, that is kind of like a dividing point between vegetarian cookbooks that I like and vegetarian cookbooks that I don't like, and that is the inclination to use very processed foods in vegetarian cuisine to make them like omnivorous cuisine. Does that make sense? I'm not, again, eyes on your paper. I don't care what you eat. You eat it. Don't eat baby seals. But I don't personally like it, and it doesn't feel right to me. Feel good to me. Right is a loaded word. So is good, probably, whatever. But it seems like everything is very accessible in this cookbook. Like giant lamb or seitan turnovers. Like, there's nothing in this that I can't find pretty readily. And again, it doesn't seem so obscure that I don't know how to pair it with something. Granted, my hot dog chicken nugget people are not going to be into lemon thyme roast chicken. Well, they might. No, they won't. One of them's a chicken, so. And won't eat the lemon thyme tofu. But if nothing else, I found it a great inspirational jump off point for my own food. You know, really? Like, sometimes I just want to feed myself and not worry about other people feeding. In my marriage or whatever, that is the most challenging subject. It's food. Oh my gosh. It's so loaded and intense and like making, more so than anything else in our relationship. Now, that's on my end. I'm sure it isn't just completely different. Oh my gosh, it takes up so much headspace. Right? I could be president. No, I couldn't. I could be president of the local chapter of something. If not, all of this headspace was not taken up by preparing food for people. Figuring out what they'll eat. Going to the grocery store. I got so frustrated. I get continuously frustrated with that whole argument of like, healthy food is more expensive than trashy fast food. And then, of course, it is not actually dollar-wise. Like, you could put a meal for 4 people, fast food versus like ingredients you purchased at the store. There's no question. If you're buying whole basic ingredients, that is a cheaper option. But where is the time calculated into that? Okay, I'm on the other, but like, I love that that's the argument. It's like, well, no, actually it is less expensive to buy. But who is calculating in how much it costs to go to the grocery store for those people? Let's just say women, because that's the vast majority of the food preparers in this world. Again, the mental energy to come up with it and decide if Sally and Jim and Arnold are all going to eat that thing. And then the actual time it takes to, did I say grocery shop? Because, ugh. But the time it takes to grocery shop, the time it takes to store that food, the time it takes to prepare that food, and then again, all the mental headspace around it. Nobody calculates that into the price. So while I am in no way a proponent of fast food, that argument does make me angry. Sorry. Maybe if we valued those things as much as we value other things. Anyway, maybe I should stop talking now. What do I need to say? I don't think I need to say anything else. Okay, I'll talk to you next time. Bye.